Are INTJs autistic? It's a question that floods forums and comment sections, sparking endless debate. But is there any real truth to this pervasive online theory? Or are we simply misinterpreting the unique minds of the architect personality type? We're diving deep to unmask the reality behind this widespread misconception. The idea usually starts innocently enough. Someone notices that INTJs are quiet, analytical, socially selective, and intensely focused. They may struggle with small talk, dislike sensory chaos, and prefer systems over emotions. Then someone connects the dots and says, "That sounds like autism." From there, the label spreads, often without context, nuance, or understanding of what autism actually is. What begins as curiosity quickly turns into oversimplification, and in many cases, outright misunderstanding of both INTJs and autistic people. To understand why this comparison exists at all, we need to talk about what defines an INTJ at a psychological level. INTJs are driven primarily by introverted intuition, a function that works beneath the surface, constantly building internal models of how the world works. This process is quiet, abstract, and future-oriented. An INTJ may seem detached or distant, not because they lack awareness, but because their attention is turned inward. They are often thinking several steps ahead, refining ideas, predicting outcomes, and discarding anything that feels inefficient or irrelevant. This inward focus can look, from the outside, like social disengagement. INTJs may not react immediately in conversations. They may avoid eye contact while thinking. They may seem uninterested in social rituals that feel pointless to them. But here's the key difference. INTJs are choosing disengagement based on values and priorities. Autism, by contrast, involves neurological differences that affect how social cues are processed, often regardless of desire or intent. One of the most misunderstood traits of INTJs is their relationship with emotion. INTJs are often described as cold, robotic, or unfeeling. In reality, their emotional world is deeply private. They experience emotions intensely, but they process them internally rather than externally. They don't emote for social harmony. They don't instinctively mirror expressions or vocal tones. This can resemble emotional flatness, but it's not a lack of feeling. It's a difference in expression. This is where comparisons to autism often go wrong. Autism is not defined by emotional restraint. Many autistic individuals feel emotions very strongly, sometimes overwhelmingly so. The challenge is often in interpreting others' emotions or expressing their own in socially expected ways. INTJs, on the other hand, usually understand emotional cues just fine. They simply don't prioritize responding to them unless there's a reason to. Another common overlap people point to is sensory sensitivity. INTJs often dislike loud environments, chaotic spaces, or constant interruptions. They prefer controlled settings where they can focus deeply. This preference can be mistaken for sensory processing issues. But again, the root cause is different. INTJs are mentally intensive thinkers. Excess noise and stimulation drain their cognitive resources. Avoiding it is a strategy, not a neurological limitation. Autistic sensory sensitivities are not about preference. They are about the nervous system responding intensely, sometimes painfully, to stimuli that others barely notice. While an INTJ might find a noisy party annoying and exhausting, an autistic person might find it physically overwhelming or distressing. The experience may look similar from the outside, but internally, it is not the same. Social behavior is where the confusion peaks. INTJs are often described as socially awkward. They may not enjoy small talk. They may struggle with group dynamics that feel superficial. They may speak bluntly, prioritizing accuracy over tact. These traits can resemble stereotypical portrayals of autism, especially online. But social awkwardness is not autism. INTJs usually understand social rules. They know when they're breaking them. They simply don't always care to follow them if they conflict with honesty or efficiency. Autistic individuals, by contrast, may genuinely not perceive certain social rules intuitively. They may need to consciously learn them over time, like a second language. INTJs aren't missing the rule book. They're selectively ignoring parts of it. There's also the issue of intense interests. INTJs are known for deep dives. When they care about something, they care obsessively. They research, analyze, and master topics with laser focus. To outsiders, this can look like hyperfixation, but motivation matters. INTJ interests are usually driven by long-term goals, strategic relevance, or intellectual curiosity. They are integrated into a broader vision. Autistic special interests, while also deep and intense, often serve a different psychological role. They can provide comfort, structure, or emotional regulation. They may exist independently of practical outcomes. Again, the behavior may appear similar, but the underlying function is not. So why does this misconception persist so strongly online? Part of the reason is the internet's obsession with labels. There's a growing trend to diagnose personalities rather than understand them. When people encounter behavior that feels unfamiliar or difficult to relate to, they search for a category. Autism becomes a convenient explanation, especially when stereotypes dominate the conversation. Another reason is that many people are genuinely trying to make sense of themselves. Some INTJs encounter descriptions of autism and recognize certain traits. That doesn't mean the comparison is invalid. Human psychology overlaps. Traits exist on spectrums. An INTJ can be autistic. An autistic person can be an INTJ. These identities are not mutually exclusive, but one does not automatically imply the other. The danger comes when we flatten both identities into caricatures. When we say INTJs are basically autistic, we erase the diversity of autistic experiences and reduce INTJs to a cold stereotype. Autism is not a personality type. It is a neurodevelopmental condition with a wide range of presentations, challenges, and strengths. Treating it as a shorthand for introversion or intelligence does real harm. It also harms INTJs. Many INTJs already struggle with being misunderstood. They are often told they're too intense, too blunt, too distant, or too different. Slapping a clinical label onto their personality differences can make them feel pathologized rather than understood. Not every deviation from social norms is a disorder. Sometimes it's just a different operating system. There's a deeper cultural issue at play here. Modern society tends to reward emotional expressiveness, social agility, and constant availability. INTJs often operate in direct opposition to this. They value solitude, depth, and long-term thinking. When these traits clash with mainstream expectations, they get framed as deficits rather than differences. Autistic individuals face an even harsher version of this problem. Their differences are often misunderstood, stigmatized, or minimized. When autism gets casually assigned to anyone who is quiet, logical, or socially reserved, it trivializes the very real challenges autistic people navigate every day. It turns a complex neurotype into a meme. So what's the truth? INTJs are not autistic by default. They are misunderstood by default. Their cognitive style prioritizes insight over interaction, precision over performance, and depth over breadth. In a world that often values the opposite, they stand out. And when people don't understand something, they label it. Understanding INTJs requires slowing down and looking beneath the surface. It means recognizing that silence does not equal emptiness, that emotional restraint does not equal lack of empathy, and that social selectivity does not equal social incapacity. INTJs often care deeply. They simply express care through problem-solving, loyalty, and long-term commitment rather than constant affirmation. Understanding autism requires even more care. It means listening to autistic voices, recognizing the diversity within the spectrum, and resisting the urge to reduce it to a set of quirks. Autism is not an aesthetic. It is not a synonym for intelligence or introversion. It is a lived neurological reality. When we conflate personality with neurodivergence, we lose the ability to appreciate both. We stop asking better questions. We stop seeing individuals. Instead of asking whether INTJs are autistic, a more meaningful question is why we're so uncomfortable with minds that work differently from the norm. Maybe the real issue isn't INTJs. Maybe it's our narrow definition of what normal looks like. In a world that celebrates noise, speed, and constant social engagement, the quiet strategist will always seem strange. But strange does not mean broken. Different does not mean disordered. INTJs don't need to be diagnosed to be understood. They need space to think, freedom to be honest, and respect for their way of navigating the world. Autistic individuals don't need their experiences diluted by stereotypes. They need recognition, accommodation, and genuine understanding. When we stop collapsing complexity into labels, we start seeing people more clearly. And when we do that, both INTJs and autistic individuals can finally step out from behind misconceptions and be seen for who they actually are.